This is Brian Urlacher, and make sure you tune in to Tailgate Talk with DC and Zay for your NFL talk on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal.
Fourth and goal. This is also very true. Well, you mentioned it, so we got to hit on it. And I've been the number one ambassador for this for a while, and that is Bill Belichick coming on to Dallas. I think that Bill Belichick is everything the Cowboys need. I think and I mean deep to the core, he's everything they need. And I think he's a perfect fit because, Bill Belichick, he does not like the camera, right? He doesn't like the camera. He doesn't like being in the front page. He doesn't like all the show, but Jerry does. So what that will do is it's not like Bill's going to get annoyed that Jerry's in front of the camera. I think that will allow Bill to stay in his little cubicle, stay in his little room, stay under the spotlight. And I think that Bill can find a way to get the players focused. He can get the players motivated, and he can get the players locked in on the main goal while everybody else can still do what they're doing. There can be the tours. There can be, the Jerry in his quotes. There can be the radio show. Micah. I don't know about Micah's podcast. If Bill Belichick comes into town, that podcast might have to take a back seat.
Yes. I can't imagine that working out with Bill in town.
Yes, no. But, just the Cowboys, all the players who I look at them as, I'm getting older now. I'm 27. So some of them are literally younger than me. But the way they act, I don't look down on them. But it's like, I feel like it's like they're all little brothers. Where it's like, guys, come on. Like, what do you mean there's people taking pictures through the glass? You're supposed to be locked in on the goal, and you get paid to be locked in on the goal, and you guys can't be letting the fans and other things, CeeDee Lamb and Trevon Diggs, you can't be going out to the club after you get smoked by the Houston Texans.
No, that's a bad look.
And there's none of that going on, Bill Belichick.
I will say Bill Belichick has opened up his personality a little bit with him and Chad Johnson on the Inside the NFL. That's been a really good watch. They're interesting together, and Bill is a different kind of dude. And you kind of hit on the big question is how would Jerry Jones and Bill Belichick coexist? And I think that's a really interesting question because each guy has such a big personality and has done so much, for their respective teams in the league. They both have a right to that space, So Diana Rossini of The Athletic actually talked about this. She talked to 10 anonymous NFL head coaches and executives and asked them, what they thought the best place would be for him to land. And Jacksonville, Dallas, Tampa Bay were the three big ones that came up. Of those three, I actually think Dallas is the best one.
Oh, yeah.
But it is such a good question. How would they coexist? I look at it. I actually think Bill would be fine in that locker room. The fact that he's dating a 24-year-old says that he can swim in any pool he wants. He is fine.
Yeah.
I just, is Jerry going to be good with Bill being the dude?
Yeah. So the reason why Jerry's going to be good with that is because I know Jerry wants the spotlight, but he's still going to get the spotlight. Number one, he's Jerry Jones. Number two, you really understand how much someone's needed when they suck at their job, or you realize how important it can be. So when Jerry has done such a bad job last off season, and did nothing, if he was to go out now, have a good draft, bring in Bill Belichick, and just do some more things that the fans want, it would go from, you can't blame it all on Jerry and not praise Jerry. So right now he's taking all the heat. If he was to go and make these moves, although Bill Belichick would be the reason, we'd still all acknowledge that Jerry had to put things aside to make that happen. So Jerry would still get a lot of the shine. Now, I don't know if he looks at it that way.
You make a really interesting point because you're right. Bill Belichick could win every single game, but unless Jerry makes the hire, it doesn't happen. So
exactly.
He always gets a little bit of that shine. So that's a really interesting point. The other one that I kind of consider is because Belichick has been basically his own GM the majority of the time, could Jerry give up that GM and player personnel role? Do you think he'd be all right with that?
That is where it would get tricky.
Exactly. Because, Micah, that's one you bring up. Like, when his contract comes up, like, Bill might say no. Is that going to be okay with Jerry?
That's a good point you make. I would say I think that the best case scenario, would agree to negotiate the decisions, like it'd be like a partnership. I do know when Jerry hired McCarthy, he kept saying that like, I'm taking a step back. I'm going to let Mike do his job. I'm going to let him be the coach. But then you hear Jerry saying things like, oh, no, we're going to let Cooper Rush play the next game.
Oh, yeah, he's making decisions all the time. It's great.
So I think, maybe he'll try again. I think he tried with McCarthy, or at least it sounded nice. But then when the push came to shove, he couldn't maintain it, and he couldn't help but to start taking over again. So I think with Bill Belichick, he may have to stick to his word more, whereas McCarthy may have just let it happen. But I think initially Jerry will say all the right things. Now, if they're winning, none of it will matter, and everyone's going to be happy. Now,
You're right about that.
If Bill comes in and they start losing, then that is when things could possibly go south. But I don't know.
What happens to Dak if Bill's in there?
I think we get the best version of Dak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think if there's any person in the world right now to instill a Tom Brady-esque mentality in a quarterback, it's Bill Belichick. I mean, Brady's not going to go do it himself. I mean, he could try, but it's going to be different than if it was, his coach. I mean, Bill Belichick saw Brady prepare. He knows exactly how Brady did everything.
Yeah.
So if Bill Belichick is Dak's coach, he can maybe try to wire his brain a little bit like Brady, like prepare like this. When the game gets close and it's clutch situations, think of it like this, or, things like that.
So the quarterback situation is really interesting. It's something we're going to have to come back to when we get back. There's going to be some new backup quarterbacks in the NFL, so we're going to chat on that right here on 95.9 FM and 610 AM, The Sports Animal. You're home for Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday night football.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be